As a busy mom, I understand how challenging it can truly be to prioritize your own health and your wellness. As a coach, I have heard every excuse in the book. But as a mom, I have felt those very same excuses myself. That's why in this podcast, I share practical tips and strategies to help you prioritize your health no matter how busy your schedule as a mom may be. Tune in to discover how to take care of yourself as a busy mom. Hi, I'm Jenna Dix, and I'm always rambling. Just ask my husband. I have a great family and a pretty cool life, but I'm a recovered alcoholic. That's hard to say. But my goal is to inspire and educate to help others hopefully find life beyond an addiction. I'm all things: sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Getting healthy, momming, and politics. Get offended easily? You better stop listening. There is no point in wasting that Botox by stressing yourself out listening to a podcast. Welcome to Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Today's episode brought to you by products and services that I thoroughly am addicted to. Figuring out your marketing strategy as a small business owner can be overwhelming, and doing it yourself can make you feel like you're pulling your hair out. But fear not, because the How Marketing Company has got you covered. Don't settle for just any marketing team. Trust the experts at the How Marketing Company to ensure your success and to help you keep your hair intact. Check the show notes for details and take the first step towards stress-free marketing. I am so excited to have you here today. Today's episode is definitely one that is on my heart pretty regularly. Not only because that's what I do for a living, but because it is in so many conversations that I have with peers and friends, because health and wellness is something that it doesn't go away. It's something that truly is so important to each and every individual on the planet. But I think for the average busy mom, it just weighs a little bit differently on our heart because we do know the importance of it. You know, we preach it to our kids. A lot of us do. But then when it comes time to look into the mirror, it can be rather difficult because we have to sit and think, okay, where, how, all of those facts just don't align with what we know needs to happen because our lives are just so freaking busy and we are being stretched and pulled in what feels like some days a million different directions. But as I said, in the intro of this, fear not, because today I'm going to go over some tangible strategies and tips to hopefully give you some ideas, some inspiration, so you can walk away from today's episode and feel like, all right, I know I won't be perfect, because heck, no one is, but you can walk away and feel like, all right, there's a couple things that I know I can begin to do. As we dive in, though, today, I definitely want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For those of you that have been listening consistently and religiously, I appreciate you so incredibly much. Make sure to share these episodes with your tribe. If there's an episode that you're like, dude, that is so right on, I feel that in my gut, share that with your people, especially today's, right? If you have that tribe mom, the mom up the street or the mom from church, that you all get together and you kind of have the same complaints about this type of info, share this episode. Hopefully, not only are you able to pull a golden nugget or two, she is as well. So I thank you not only for sharing the episode, but make sure that you have followed the podcast as well on, if you're using Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I definitely appreciate those follows. And that way the episodes just automatically download, because if you're like me, trying to remember to go in and, manually download things, yeah, that doesn't happen. But if it does it on its own, cool. It's in my queue and I'm set to go. Set up for success. All right, I don't want to waste any time. We're going to dive right in because, we're busy moms. We have a lot going on and I don't want to waste your precious time. Just give you the tips and you can get on your way. So I have been coaching for over a decade at this point. I've helped a lot of people. I mean, there's been certain jobs that I've been in that I have over 1,000 clients on my caseload at a time. So the impact that have had has been vast. And I've worked with a large range of clientele. I've had, the older demographics. I've had males and females. I've had younger people. But for some reason, the busy mom is always the client that my heart just goes to. Probably because I can, relate. But at the same time, even before I was a bio mom, I still my heart went to that client. And I think it is because I see there is so much value there. Not only am I helping this mom, but I'm helping her show her kids, show that next generation a solid, healthy example. And that is really just what gets my personality going. So hopefully not only are today's tips going to be important and helpful for you, but in my heart, it's always, I hope that it helps you get to a point where you're able to incorporate these healthier habits and show your kids as well. So today I have 6 tips that I want to share with you, 6 categories rather, that I want to dive into when it comes to, all right, how am I going to be a healthier me, right? I want to talk about 6 different categories because I can get into the nuts and the bolts of, exercise and nutrition and, I'm not going to just spew facts at you. That doesn't work. If it did, we'd all be, a size 2 and feel absolutely amazing all the time. But I wanted to talk about 6 categories that even if you're able just to dive into one at a time, it will help improve things. All right, so area 1, your sleep. I will caveat this. I truly will say that I believe there's going to be seasons in your life that absolutely your sleep is going to suck ass. If you have a newborn baby, I'm not going to even try to attempt to talk to you about sleep. It's not possible because your sleep is now going to 100% revolve around that newborn. Or, maybe you are working second or third shift at your job. Obviously, you're in a season right now where you need to figure it out, right? But on average, what we all need to be striving for is 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I'm not saying that to be funny. I'm saying that to be serious. 7 to 8 hours is truthfully what our bodies need. Okay? The whole, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I actually do really well, Jenna, on 4 hours of sleep. I call BS on that because your body is eventually going to be like, F that. Right? So 7 to 8 hours. And the truth is, for those of you that are like, oh, I can actually function on way less sleep. They have done so many studies. And one that really caught my eye way back when was, people who are awake for 18 hours. Which, all right, do the math quick. That's 6 hours of sleep. And then you're up for 18 hours. By the end of that 18 hours, where your body and your brain are functioning is equivalent to somebody who is at a 0.05 blood alcohol concentration. So, at least here in Minnesota, legally drunk is 0.08. If you're up for 18 hours, you're at 0.05, like mentally, like obviously not literally, but like how your body is acting and responding is like you're at a 0.05. So obviously, on average, most people need more than 6 hours. So leaning back into that caveat, just if you are sitting there feeling guilty, like, oh my gosh, yes, I totally feel this, but I have a baby at home. Okay, none of this really pertains to you in the moment because you need to love on that baby, right? That is your mission right here and now. But for those of us that, yeah, you know what? I'm just not sleeping the greatest because I'm Netflix binging, or I just am not living a really thought out schedule. You know, it's important to know that not only are you going to feel better when you're getting sleep, but not having good sleep actually is linked to higher weight. It also shows that your stress levels are increased. And let's face it, at least for me, you're bitchier, right? You're crankier if you're not sleeping well. So some tips for getting better sleep. You need to create yourself a sleep haven. Whatever that freaking looks like for you, right? Like, I know some people are like, I have to sleep with it really, really warm, or the flip-flop of that. It has to be really, really cold. You know, I need it to smell like lavender, or I use this special sleep spray on my pillow. Whatever makes it feel like the perfect sleeping environment for you. I also encourage blocking blue light. So whether you throw on a pair of blue light blockers, which I personally love mine. We just got like cheapos on Amazon. They're probably not even the best quality, but like when I am tired and my eyes are tired, I throw those on at night and they just are nice. They just help kind of bring a peaceful vibe. My body feels a little bit calmer. It's also recommended if you have a lot of light emitting things in your room to cover that up. So like my fan, for example, that stupid thing had like 4 neon green lights on it. I threw a piece of black electrical tape over that because I was like, fuck that. I'm not having all these bright green lights in my room, right? Try to cover those lights up. You know, same with, I remember I had a nightlight in my daughter's room, and of course, you know, I made it pink or purple, and my girlfriend was like, you should actually make it red. Like, red is the best light for emitting at nighttime because it's, I guess, the least stimulating. And of course, for my fellow coffee addicts out there, make sure that if you are somebody that is impacted by caffeine, you set yourself a limit. And also stating that caffeine is not a substitute for sleep. You know, for example, oh my Lord, I went to the nail salon and the lady was talking about how she, if we understood her correctly, she orders 14 shots in her whatever she's getting. And I'm thinking, oh my good gracious, like 14 shots. That she kept saying 7 and 7. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's insane, right? But there we are. We're in a society that so many people are subbing out their sleep for caffeine. All right, moving into the second one, nutrition. Here's the thing. We need to remember, food is fuel. Food is medication. Food is love. And we need to remember it in that order. That is my personal opinion. Fuel. It fuels your body. Absolutely. That's priority 1. That is what the food is really for. Food is medication. You know, you can truthfully take care of yourself better based off of the foods you're plugging in there. And it can be medication for something that's going on. You know, for example, they always say if a kid has, you know, the diarrhea, you give them the BRAT diet, B-R-A-T. You know, you give them bananas, rice, applesauce, and toast. You can truthfully help kind of cure it with food. Or on the flip side of that, if you're really being conscious and thinking, okay, I need to make sure I eat these types of foods because they have these nutrients and my body really is lacking that and it needs it. Or I have too much of this, I need to cut this type of food because it has too much of that in there. You can really look down kind of at the chemical breakdown of it as well. And then the final one, food is love. You know, I truthfully do think, I'm trying to remember, I don't think food is, it's not, I'm positive. It's not an actual love language. But think about it. So many people, they feel love based off of the food they're giving or they're eating. You think like the Italian grandma, right? Mangia. Their way that they're loving on their family is they're feeding them. So it's important to know that, hey, there's going to be those moments where you might have to eat a little extra or a little something that you may have not wanted because to kind of protect somebody's feelings. But that's like the least important in the hierarchy. Food is fuel, food is medication, and then food is love. When it comes to your nutrition, make sure you are getting a solid variety of foods. You want to think like eat the rainbow, but we're not talking Skittles here, people. We're talking, are you getting enough greens? Are you getting enough red fruits and vegetables? Are you getting enough yellows? Are you getting enough, purples? You want to try to eat a variety of things. Don't try to eat the same thing every day. And yes, I'm preaching to the choir because I can be this person. I could literally probably survive on the same things every day for months, if not years on end. And I have to force myself sometimes to eat things outside that. Some just quick, simple tips when it comes to nutrition. No boxes. If it's a food product coming in a box, it's processed 9 times out of 10. Try to avoid that as much as possible, right? And if you think about things such as, meats and produce, even like fresh things from the bakery, like fresh breads or things of that sort, they're not coming boxed up, right? They're coming in just packages that a lot of times in certain stores, the store is packaging themselves. When you look at an ingredients list, try to think, okay, the shorter the better, and I want to be able to pronounce 90% of the things on that ingredients list. Try to avoid any trendy fads. This one, if you think about the last few years, right? Like keto's kind of been the big one as of recent. Atkins, which is very similar, that was popular a few years before. We've had people who, I'm doing the cauliflower this, or I'm doing the celery this or that. Like, I'm never going to get too deep on the soapbox because, all right, if you're trying and you're working on it, I give you props for taking a step. But typically, the trendy things like that are not successful in the long term. And my final thing with nutrition is just make sure you are watching your portions of all foods, healthy foods included, right? You can still, if you're sitting there eating almonds and avocados sun up to sundown, you're still going to be larger than you should because your body still has the limits it needs. But just make sure you're watching portions. That's something that our country struggles with as a whole. And just simply watching your portions can truthfully be incredibly helpful. The third category, exercise. So when I used to teach a session on this, when I was a corporate health coach, I always would ask, right off the bat, I'd say, what are your thoughts on the word exercise? And 90% of the responses I would get would be like, gross, ick, I hate it, things of that sort. Of course, there'd be a few people that are like, the me time or enjoy or things like that. But more often than not, I got things on the negative side of that. But when it comes to exercise, I always used to tell them, okay, I just want you to think, move my body. Because sometimes that word exercise does come with those negative correlations. But if you think about, okay, how can I move my body to burn calories and to get my heart rate up and just to get myself feeling better? You can think of things like sports or dancing or, some people, they really do like lifting weights. Others really do like some cardio. But just think about how can I move my body? And you need to find the ways that you enjoy. Maybe it's kickboxing, right? Find something that you truthfully enjoy. If possible, if you can find things that are incorporating some strength focus, some cardio, and some flexibility focus, that's going to be key. Because your body does truthfully need all three, especially for females, right? Once we hit a certain age, our muscle tone does start to decrease pretty rapidly. So making sure that you're continuing to work on that strength is really important for us as females. When it comes to exercise excuses that I often hear, well, my kids, this or that. Okay. Well, then why are you not exercising before they get up or after they go to bed, right? There's 2 very simple solutions. The third one, involve them. Or do exercise simultaneously, like have them doing a good activity that they can, keep their energy and focus on while you exercise. And you're setting a good example that they can see. McKenna, there's some exercises she'll jump in with me. But for the most part, They're things that she can't keep up with, or they're things that I really don't want her engaging in. I don't really want her weightlifting. She's 3 years old. She can pick up heavier dumbbells than I would actually appreciate and like, because sometimes I get a little scared. But for the most part, I don't really want her engaging with me. Plus, then I can focus on my own thing. So what I do a lot of times is I set her up with a YouTube channel called Miss Linky. And it's all exercise videos for kids. Well, it's all educational videos for kids. And she has a whole section, I should say, of exercise things that's for kids. So they're fun and exciting. Like, let's be superheroes today, or let's, do Paw Patrol type things. So she's doing her little exercises geared towards her age, and I get to do mine. And she gets to see a healthy example of, oh, my mommy exercises. So the whole excuse of I cannot get my exercise in because of my kids, I call BS. There are plenty of strategies that you can incorporate to make sure you're getting that in. And this one, I lay hard on this one. Like, whenever somebody, I'm just too busy. Like, my grace for this one was it was very little. We make time for the things in our lives that are important to us. And if you're not making the time for exercise, that's a choice. Moving into category 4, stress management. You're already sitting there thinking, oh, come on, dude, really? Like, yeah, Jenna, we know it's important, but XYZ, right? Okay, so if we are not managing our stress, this is when we become the frazzled, bitchy moms. And a lot of times, stress can impact our weight, and it can impact our health, mental, physical, and emotional. When we let our stress kind of take over, it truthfully does impact our hormones, which, like I said, it impacts our weight. A lot of times, females especially, we carry that weight in our bellies. So it's important to make sure that we're working on our stress management regularly. And yes, I am looking in the mirror when I say this myself, okay? This is a constant work in progress for me too. So I will be very transparent and share that with you, that I struggle with this one also. But it's important to think about things like, okay, what can I do right now in the moment when I feel like a stress ball, okay? We can talk about things like, you can exercise. Which 2 birds, 1 stone, right? Like, you're taking care of 2 categories. Some people, some exercise is the best stress relief possible. Maybe you truthfully do need to find a therapist or a counselor or a pastor, somebody to chat with. Maybe that's the stress management you need. Some other things are deep breathing, literally sitting there and pulling up a deep breathing exercise. A lot of our watches nowadays have those right incorporated into them, Fitbits, Apple Watches. You can also do a progressive muscle relaxation. So this is where you are sitting, and as you inhale, you hold your breath for a second. So you breathe in, you hold it, and you slowly work your way up your body. So you start at your feet. You tense your feet as hard as you can. You flex them, right? And you hold your breath as you do this for about, 5 seconds, and then you exhale and relax the muscle. And you move your way up your body. So you start at your feet, you move to your calves, you move to your knees, you move to your quads, you move to your glutes, your back. You just move all the way up. And by the time you're done, your body's much more relaxed. I've done this to fall asleep. I've done this to calm myself down. And another one is prayer. Like, do not forget the power of prayer. And this, I don't always lean on this as heavily as I should, but there's some moments when I'm incredibly stressed that literally all it is, Jesus, help me. That's all I can muster. And I just sit there in silence and I'm like, oh my word, please come into me and help me out right now. Moving on from that one. So the next category is category 5. So social connections. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because I just did a whole episode on this. But making sure that you have good, solid social connections can truthfully be a great piece with your health and wellness. So episode 9, make sure to check that one out if you have not yet listened. And if you have, awesome. Keep working on building those tribes, because that is another piece to a healthier and more balanced wellness state for your life. And the final one, so category 6, your purpose, right? We were all brought into this world for something. Trying to figure that out sometimes, easier said than done. And especially for us as moms, so often we can find ourselves in spots where we're losing that sense of purpose, or we're losing that kind of sense of identity that we have in ourselves, and we just become mom, which is, you know what? I truthfully do think there are some people out there that they are a kick-ass mom, and that truthfully is their purpose. But I also do know that there's other moms out there that can be stellar moms, but their purpose is still beyond that. They have more in the tank that they're actually meant to be doing. One book that I will link in the show notes as well, but a book that I read once, I'm actually reading it a second time currently right now, but it's called The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren, and it talks exactly about this, like really diving into your purpose of why God brought you here, so that you feel like, hey, I have something to drive for, right? It's important also when you're thinking about your purpose, okay, are my top strengths that I have as a human being utilized? If they are not, it's really easy to kind of grow dull and stagnant. Tap into things that are pulling at those top strengths that you have as a person. You know, I can tell you right now, if I were in a position where I was not helping people in some way, shape, or form, I would grow pretty stagnant pretty quick, because that's just my personality. That's part of my purpose. I know I'm here to help people in some way, shape, or form, and I need to ensure I'm leaning into that strength. You know, if you are somebody that's really driven by goals, continue to make sure that you're setting yourself up with goals to keep yourself thriving. Make sure also that, you know, the activities you're doing in life are aligned with the purpose and the vision that you have for it. I would say at least 50% of the time. Be realistic. There's going to be things in your life that definitely don't fit with that. Like sitting at swimming lessons with my kid, not 100% for my purpose. I know that. But it's still important to me, okay? So it doesn't fit technically in that 50%, but my rear end's going to be in that seat watching her swim no matter what, because it's still important. And then make sure, the final piece of this, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that align with your purpose and your vision and don't drag you down and away from it. You know, I need to do a whole episode on this, making sure that you're surrounding yourself with those people that really want the absolute best for you, and that you're setting appropriate boundaries when they don't. But make sure as much as possible the people around you support the vision and the purpose that you have. All right. So I want to thank you so much for joining me here today. Hopefully you were able to grab a golden nugget or two to help you on your journey towards a better health and wellness state in your own life. You know, as a health coach, it's my mission to really empower busy moms to make the positive changes that need to happen in their lives, so that you can truthfully feel like, you know, as corny as it sounds, like your best self, but truthfully at the same time that you can walk away and be like, I'm living my purpose, or I know that I'm striving to live my purpose. If you're looking for additional support or guidance on this journey, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me at my coaching company. My coaching company, as I've said in a previous episode, it's called Grit, Grace, Glow. You know, as a board certified health coach, one thing I really help people do is create a personalized plan for achieving their goals, no matter how busy their life is. Some of my most successful clients are some of the busiest people. Make sure that if this interests you, visit my website, gritgraceglow.com. I'll also link it in the show notes as well. But remember, you know, as a closing here today, remember taking care of yourself is not selfish. It truly is essential. So keep prioritizing your health, and let's continue on this journey together. Also, make sure to check the show notes about the How Marketing Company to help bring you some peace of mind with your marketing focuses. Details for them are in the show notes as well. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Ramblings of an Addict with Jenna Dix. Remember, if you are battling an addiction, reach out for help and support. There are many resources available to assist in your journey towards recovery. Surround yourself with a supportive community and never give up on the path towards a healthier and happier life. I appreciate you taking the time to listen and joining me on this journey. As you heard, I'm always rambling. But seriously, thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe and follow my channel. I can't wait to share more with you on the next episode. Until then, keep on rambling. If you have found this podcast helpful and want to dive deeper into personal growth and self-improvement, be sure to head over to my website, jennadix.com. You'll find a wealth of resources there. There is a little less drugs, sex, and rock and roll these days, but whether you're interested in getting healthy, information on momming or parenting, or politics, jennadix.com has something for everyone. So, what are you waiting for? Head to jennadix.com today and start your journey towards personal growth and self-awareness. See you there.